Nếu mà quý vị nào mà chưa có ờ, đạt đủ tiêu chuẩn để mà học, giống như là 100.000 chú quy y với lại 10.000 chú trăm âm đó, thì là xin mọi người cố gắng. Thì cái chú trăm âm đó thật sự là 10.000 chú thì rất là lâu, cho nên là thầy rất là từ bi cho mình hứa khả. Nên là mình hứa miễn là khi mà hy vọng là khi mà bắt đầu lớp từ bây giờ đến tháng 9 thì mình có thể tụng được khoảng một nửa, rồi còn lại bao nhiêu thì mọi người cứ tự hứa và tự tự tụng và tự ghi túc số lấy nhé. Còn một cái điều nữa Trang muốn thưa với mọi người đó là thật sự thầy Tsondue đã giảng pháp cho mình cái lớp này đã gần 2 tháng rồi. Hơn 2 tháng chứ không phải là gần 2 tháng, hơn 2 tháng rồi. Thành ra là như là thông thường đó là sau khi mỗi một cái buổi giảng như vậy là mình có cái phần mà tạ tạ pháp tạ pháp thì bây giờ mình giảng online thì là mọi người Trang hiểu là không có cái cơ hội để mà được tạ pháp. Thành ra là có bạn đề nghị với mình là nên cứ mỗi cuối tháng thì Trang sẽ mở ra, Trang sẽ nhắc nhở mọi người mở ra để mà mọi người có thể đóng góp vào để mà tạ 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 pháp cho thầy. Thì cái đó là tùy hỷ. Cũng như tất cả mọi việc Mother Tara làm cái gì cũng là tùy hỷ và tùy khả năng mọi người. Thành ra là xin mọi người hoan hỷ nhé. Thì bây giờ là đã 2 tháng rồi, cho nên là Trang sẽ sau khi cái lớp này Trang sẽ đăng lên để nhắc nhở mọi người là nếu mà có thể được thì là mình có thể cúng dường, thì là cái cúng dường thì vẫn là gửi qua cho chị Thu Vũ hoặc là cô Lê Hai hoặc là chị Tâm ở đây. Ờ, Cũng như là mọi hôm thì mình chỉ ghi nhắn tin là cúng dường cho thầy, thì làm cái số tiền đó mình sẽ đưa cho thầy, gửi cho thầy. Mình khi mà mình mở ra như vậy thì sẽ đóng lại cho trong vòng một tuần lễ nha mọi người. Thành ra mọi người cố gắng là tranh thủ là nếu mà muốn có phát tâm mà cúng dường tạ pháp thì là nên làm trong vòng một tuần lễ. Dạ xin cảm ơn nhé. Rồi còn một cái điều nữa mà giống như là trong thời gian cái là Vadattara thực sự là sắp sửa được 3 năm làm Zoom trên mạng cho mọi người, cái là đem pháp đến ờ, thầy pháp của thầy thầy Khan để mà giảng cho mọi người. Đến nay đã là gần 3 năm rồi. Thành ra là trong cái thời gian này thì thật sự là ban tổ chức cũng xin cái là bộc bạch với lại tất cả mọi người là um, ờ, không có cái chi phí để mà mỗi tháng để mà xin các đạo hữu đóng góp. Tại vì ban tổ chức cũng hiểu rằng trong cái thời gian Covid mọi sự đều khó khăn, và ban tổ chức cố gắng hết mình để mà có thể chu toàn để mà đem pháp đến cho mọi người, hầu để mà giảm bớt những cái căng thẳng trong cái cuộc sống, cũng như là trong cái lúc mà có cái đại dịch đó. Thành ra là ờ, cho nên bây giờ bây giờ là đã là 3 năm rồi, thì ban tổ chức cũng xin cái là thưa với tất cả mọi người, nếu mà mọi người hoan hỷ có thể đóng góp mỗi người một tay một ít thôi, mỗi tháng cho để mà trang trải cái chi phí, là tại vì đạo tràng Mother Tara thứ nhất là cần trang trải chi phí, thứ hai nữa là cũng đang cố gắng để mà có thể kiếm được cái nơi để mà cho đạo tràng tu tập. Thành ra là rất là mong mỏi là cái số tiền đóng góp của tất cả các đạo hữu sẽ đưa vào cái chi phí để mà trang trải cho mỗi tháng, và nếu mà có dư thì là để vào cái chi phí để mà có thể thành lập đạo tràng ở San Jose này. Và cái đạo tràng đó thực sự là cái mong mỏi, cái mong ước của Maratara và cũng như là của thầy Khem đã 3 năm rồi. Và tại vì từ khi mà trước khi có đại dịch Covid, thầy cũng đã từng nói thực sự những anh chị em mà chưa bao giờ qua San Jose không biết, nhưng mà cái đường đi từ thành phố ở dưới phố mà đi lên trên trên chùa là một cái đường đi rất là khó khăn. kêu là đi núi, kêu là đi đường đi treo leo rất là khó. Thành ra là rất nhiều người muốn lên tham dự hoặc là theo học pháp với thầy, nhưng mà không có lên được là tại vì cái đường đi nó khó khăn treo leo quá. Cho nên là thầy Ken rất là mong mỏi tạo được một cái nơi ở dưới ngay phố gần cái cộng đồng người Việt để mà có thể dễ dàng cho mọi người đến tu tập. Thì đó cũng là cái nguyện vọng của Mother Tara. Thành ra là mong mỏi là tất cả các đạo hữu có thể là đóng góp, hoặc là kêu gọi mọi người thân bạn bè đóng góp giúp để mà đạo tràng Mother Tara càng ngày càng có thể phát triển thêm và có thể đem pháp tới cho nhiều người hơn nữa. Dạ, xin cảm ơn tất cả mọi người. Dạ. Thì nếu mà có thể được thì là mọi người cũng có thể đóng góp như là Trang đã trình bày, đó là hoan hỷ nếu mà có thể được thì là mỗi cuối tháng mình cũng sẽ mở ra cái cơ hội đó để cho mọi người có thể đóng góp vào cái quỹ mà tạ pháp, là cái thứ nhất. Cái thứ hai là cái quỹ để mà giúp đỡ chi phí trang trải cho đạo tràng Mother Tara cũng như là thành lập đạo tràng Mother Tara ở San Jose. Dạ, xin cảm ơn tất cả mọi người nhé. Dạ, xin hoan hỷ. Dạ, xin mọi người cho vài phút ban tổ chức để mà chuẩn bị cái phần thông dịch nhé. Dạ, xin cảm ơn.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. Greetings to everyone. So now we read. Yeah, we carry on with the discussions from the last week. So first I will read and then try to explain. You must therefore try to extract essence from it now. If you don't, you are sure to die anyway, and you cannot know when that will happen. We are now attending this Dharma teaching, but none of us will be left in 100 years' time. In the past, Buddha, our teacher, amassed the two collections of merit and primal wisdom over many eons, thus obtaining the Vajrabhari. Yet even he, to the common appearance, went to nirvana beyond suffering. After him, there came scholars, adepts, and translators, and pandits to both India and Tibet. But they have all seemingly departed this life. Nothing is left of them but their names to say there was this and some other. In short, there is no one you can produce as an example of a person who death has spared. How could you alone live forever? You have no hope of being spared. Therefore, not only are you sure to die, but also you cannot be certain when this will happen. You cannot even be sure that you will be alive next year in the human realm, still wearing your 3 types of monks' robes. By this time, Next year, you may have already been born as an animal, covered in a shaggy fur, with horns in your head. Or you may have been born as a hungry ghost, for example, having to live without being able to find any food, or even a drop of water. Or you may have been reborn in the hells, to experience the miseries of the heat and cold, being roasted or on fire. Oh, okay. So, here I read some of the passage which mainly talks about now the impermanent, impermanent of the impermanent of the death. So, so when we talk about the impermanent, especially the impermanent of death, this is a very important topic, as well as very profound instruction. Because last week, how this teaching on impermanent, come right after the human birth, the teaching on human birth. Because last time we said, right, now we understand that we have to practice the Dharma, we need to practice the Dharma, and there is no choice. And then we also came to understand that we have all the potential. We have all the complete potential to practice the Dharma. And then the question comes: if we understand, if we have understood and also have well understood that we have all the potential, that means we came to understand that we are sure to practice Dharma. Then if we are sure to practice Dharma, do we need to practice the Dharma until next life? Then it says this is totally wrong, that we cannot wait. How can we wait until the next life? Because such a birth that we have obtained now, this precious human birth that we have now, this will never come easily. This will not come easily. So therefore, since we are not guaranteed that we will obtain this human birth once again. So therefore, if we have to do something, we have to do something in this very life. Then another question comes: if we have to practice the Dharma in this very life, again, we have so many things to do. I have to do this thing and I have to do that thing, many things to do, right? So that means, do I have to wait until I get old, or do I have to wait until I'm ready? Again, this is totally wrong to think that trying to do the practice, trying to study the Dharma, try to contemplate on the Dharma, try to practice the Dharma, because the life is unpredictable. So that's the reason. Since the life is unpredictable, if we have to do something very important, such as practicing the Dharma, practicing the Dharma cannot be wait, at any point of time. If one has to do it, one has to do it since from today onwards. Therefore, in relating to this, instructions, the teaching on impermanent of death come into being right away. So that teaching on impermanent, as we said, is extremely important. Sometimes we have notion, we have kind of understanding that there is more profound practice, there's more highly advanced practice out there, without need to meditate, without need to contemplate on the mindfulness of the death. That is totally misconception. Without meditation on the impermanence of death, there is no reliable spiritual transformation. That is 100% sure. That is 100% ascertained. That is 100% affirmed. That is 100% guaranteed. So, right now, to begin with the teaching or instructions on the impermanence of the death, we need to understand the teaching on the impermanence of death under the 4 main heading or titles. The first one is the benefits of contemplating on the impermanence of death. And the second one is the disadvantages of not meditating on the impermanence of death. The third one is what kind of, when we talk about, third one is what kind of intention, what kind of wish, what kind of mindfulness of the death, impermanence of death is necessary here. The fourth one is now the actual way of meditating on the impermanence of death. So you see, so first I will try to explain, I will try to talk about the disadvantages, disadvantages of the disadvantages of not contemplating on the impermanence of death. Now, what is the disadvantages? There are many disadvantages, many disadvantages. So I will try to summarize all these disadvantages into the few points. The first one is because of not being mindful, because of not contemplating on the impermanence of death. The problem would be in this very life as well as in the future life. Although we make our effort, although we make effort in removing the pain and suffering, we all make real good effort in removing the pain and the suffering of this very life and also the next life. But however, because of not meditating on the impermanent of the death, instead of removing, the problem continues to come. The trouble, the suffering, the suffering continues to come. If we really, so I'm not going much into detail because so if we really go much absorbed into this, or absorb and immerse into these instructions, we will easily prove that the suffering does come one after the another because of not meditating on the impermanence of the death. This is number one. Number two is we may engage in the study. We may engage in the contemplate of any dharma practice, or we may contemplate or practice the dharma. But even though we we make the effort in doing all these things, but then however dharma practice does not go very once study of the dharma, reflection of the dharma, the practice of the dharma may not be strong, may not be that powerful and effective. One of the main reasons for that is because of not contemplating on the impermanence of the death. Then number three is now even though we may make all our effort to do some dharma study, to contemplate on the meaning of the dharma, and also we may do some practice, the practice. In spite of all these things, what we do study, what we do contemplate, what we do practice, all this cannot become very sincere and pure. Now, again, if we try to search what really is the reason, what really is lacking, again we will simply come to understand that it is because of not meditating on the impermanence of that. Then we have the fourth point. The fourth point is The fourth point is, you see, what is our aspiration? Our aspiration is to seek the happiness. There's no doubt, this is the innate feeling that we all do have. So the happiness, again it is very important to seek the reliable happiness, not a temporary happiness. So when we talk about seeking the reliable happiness, that is again gained through going through the spiritual practice, right? The spiritual practice, all the spiritual practices, all about achieving the total freedom. What is called as nirvana, what is called as moksha. Seeking a total liberation, liberation from the suffering and pain and suffering, all the problems, all the troubles. And not only that, we also wish to seek the highest form of enlightenment, highest form of happiness, that is the enlightenment. Now, to achieve the highest form of enlightenment, the most, highest degree of happiness, we need to train in the spiritual path. We need to train in those methods which led to the liberation or total freedom or enlightenment. Now, in order to achieve, in order to train in the spiritual path, what we, on our part, what we need is that we should have attained and obtained this human birth. In the animal form, we cannot expect to achieve the enlightenment. In the hungry ghost, we cannot achieve the enlightenment. In the hell, there's no way. Only in this precious human birth, which is complete with 8 freedom and 10 endowments, that we can practice the Dharma smoothly, effectively, powerfully. So in order to obtain this, in order to obtain this precious human birth, again, we need to create all the causes and conditions. Right. So now, in order to achieve, in order to create all the causes and conditions to obtain the precious human birth next life, what really is the main problem? What really is the main obstacle for, for that? The main obstacle for that is, again, not meditating and contemplating on the impermanence of death. So if we do not meditate on the impermanence of death, of course, our life is, the precious human life that we have is wasted. Has gone wasted. So these are the 4 main important points to remember. Right? So these are the, the disadvantages of not meditating and contemplating on the impermanence of death. And then one great master said, if we do not cultivate the mindfulness of the impermanence of death, the Guhya Samaja Tantra is not profound. If we develop the mindfulness of the impermanence of death, even the recitation of the 3 jewel, the verse of 3 jewel is so profound. That's very true. Now here, now if you talk about the benefits, again, there are great benefits. So again, I will summarize many of the great benefits into the few points. If you meditate on the impermanence of the death, what it does, the meditation on the impermanence of the death, what it does is, in the beginning, it motivates us to engage in the Dharma practice. In the middle, it helps to sustain our Dharma practice. And then in the end, it helps us to complete our Dharma practice. Again, in the beginning, it helps us to cultivate the faith and devotion. In the middling, it helps us to cultivate the joyous effort. In the end, it helps us to cultivate the wisdom. Not only that, in the beginning, because of our mindfulness of the fear of the death, in the beginning, we are able to develop the fear of the death. In the middle, it helps us to dispel the sense of regret. Then in the end, it helps us to cultivate the sense of fearlessness over the death. And also, even in the spiritual path, the meditation on the impermanence of death is the actual practice of the spiritual training of the person of the lowest capacity. And it is also it also helps to let us to achieve the liberation. And it also helps us to motivate us to enter into the Mahayana path. So one day there's one person, there's one guy. He went to see one yogi. He went to see one yogi and asked for some instruction, requested for some instruction. Then the yogi said, then yogi ignored him in the beginning. Then upon the second request, then the yogi took his hand. Yogi took his hand. What he says, I will die, you will also die. And then other than that, I have nothing to teach. And then with this the guy meditate on the mindfulness of the death, and later on he really become a very good practitioner, achieve a spiritual realization, achieve the spiritual realization. Right. And even in the Vajrayana, sometimes we may think in the Vajrayana, the teaching is not relevant and not unnecessary. That is, again, totally wrong. If we may wonder why some yogis, in ancient time, also in Tibet, some yogis, they hold the skull cup in their hand. Sometimes also some yogis, they wear the earrings, big earrings. That is also not for fashion. And also, some, they also use the thigh bone. The thigh bone. They also use for trumpet. It's a trumpet, right? They use the trumpet and blowing this trumpet. And also in some of the mandala, for example, like in the Chagasamvara mandala, and also in the Yamantaka mandala, you will see the symmetry. Why they? And also, if you look into the Tibetan monasteries, the Tibetan monasteries, on the wall, you will see different kinds of drawings, different kinds of figures, and some, in which, you will also see some bones, used, some skeletons they're used. For what purpose? These are all these are related with the impermanent. They're reminding the practitioner of impermanent. Again, when the lamas give the teaching, anybody, not only lama, anybody who gives the teaching at least need to remind of the impermanence of death. So therefore, there's one passage, Buddha's, the words, saying all the things are like the star, the illusion, dewdrops, all these things. All the phenomena are like that. So this is again reminding of the teacher, the impermanence of death, so that the teacher's mind is not polluted. I mean, not come under because they sometimes the external conditions can disturb in many ways. Right. So these things extremely important. Yeah, the benefits. The third title is, we can talk about the mindfulness of being the impermanent of death. When we talk about cultivating the mindfulness of the impermanent of death, we are not trying to develop the mindful that I have to die. Not this one. And also we are not trying to develop the fear of being dying. There's no need. Even those who does not what we call as those who does not believe in the God, those who does not believe in dharma, they know they are going to die. They do know. They do fear. They have some idea maybe, but this is not what we are trying to cultivate. The mindful. When we talk about cultivating the mindfulness of that, here the main thing is cultivating such a mindful that if I have to go, if I have to leave this earth, leave this planet without having to practice dharma, that is the mindful we are talking about. That is the great loss. That is the true great loss. If you have to die without having to practice dharma, that mindfulness is, that kind of mindfulness, that kind of fear is what we are training to cultivate and develop. Right. And then we talk about we now the actual practice, the actual meditation, the actual the contemplation, the actual contemplation on the impermanence of death is done with one powerful instructions. We call three root, 9 reason, 3 resolutions or 3 promises. So then, this 3 root, what are the 3 roots? The 3 roots are the certainty of the death, the uncertainty of the time of the death, the third one is nothing will be of any benefit at the point of dying. So this 3 root, 9 reason, 3 resolution, this sometimes, sometimes some teachers, try to avoid this, subject. Because it look, a little bit unpleasant, But then, at the same time, this is kind of the instructions on the impermanent, on the death is something like the powerful medicine like the bitter medicine. For the time being, it may not go well with one's mind, one's mentality, one's way of thinking. But in the long run, this is the one which is going to transform our mind. This is one of the most powerful methods. If we were to, really do something, not only at the more deeper level, at the more powerful level, at the more effective level, then this is the instruction. This is the real instruction. Because this 3 roots, 9 reasons, logical reasons, and then 3 things of it. These are powerful instructions, are really powerful instructions. First, we need to hear, right? Then we contemplate, and then gradually, make some, the real feeling comes, right? Otherwise, right from the beginning, if you say, I'm meditating, on, say, oh, I'm meditating on bodhicitta, I'm meditating on wisdom, I'm meditating on, the Didi yoga, I'm doing the, Guru yoga practice, I'm doing the, the very, for example, like, say, Gurya Samaja, I'm practicing Gurya Samaja, I'm practicing Vajakulaya, I'm practicing, Hayagirva, I'm practicing Hiruka, I'm practicing Mahamudra, I'm practicing 6 yogas of Naropa, I'm practicing 6 yogas of Niguma. There's so many. Without meditating on this, how far we can go, how far it really, really leave us some powerful imprints and some powerful feeling. It's a big questionable. It's a questionable. How powerful we can really feel it in our heart, without meditating on this is something questionable. If we really, meditate in that, if we really meditate on the mindfulness of that, and then try to do this practice, how it impact, how it really, makes the, practice something living, something that you can feel it, makes the difference. if that, you know, if the higher practice, sometimes we call as very instruction, you know, very, you know, secret, very, you know, secret instructions, highly advanced instructions, the pit instructions, all this we are saying this, you know. It may look as it is, but then if that is that easy, why do we need the preliminary practice? We can do right away, you know, without. So because of the such an importance of the preliminary practices, many of the preliminary practices, you know, preliminary practice. So the preliminary practice are like, you know, the, you know, like contributing factor, you know, like pushing, you know, without doing any preliminary practice, like, you know, meditation on the impermanent of death, you know, trying to do, you know, all this high practice, you know, where we will be, you know, we are not sure. I mean, the you know, I'm not critical of anything, right? Teaching, but you know what I try to do is based on the, you know, many of the, you know, early instructions. This is what this, you know, the instruction they say, you know, we go through step by step. There's a step, you know. A small kids cannot expect it to study the can expect it to become professor without, you know, going through all the, you know, that the, you know, the first grade, second grade, third grade. Similarly, yeah, here also, you know, when all this, you know, then yeah, then you know, then we say, if we were to, you know, cultivate such a, you know, such a, you know, such a powerful mental state, right? Now, for example, if we were being talked about the, you know, the mindfulness, you know, the mindfulness of, you know, the mindfulness of the, you know, the impermanent of death, you know, how to cultivate it? Again, the cultivation of the mindfulness of the, you know, the impermanent of death is mainly cultivated by, you know, I will go later, you know, based on this 3 root, 9 reason, and 3 promises, 3 promises or 3 resolution. Right? But again, is it enough? Is it enough? Again, it is not enough. What we really need to do is, you know, we need to create the cause again, create the cause to cultivate such a mindfulness of the impermanent death. What are the causes? Now the causes are the purification practice, the accumulation of the merit, and again the things like, you know, Guru Yoga practice, you know, merit field visualization. We already done, right? I already explained merit field visualization. In each of the practice, to develop some experience, to develop some, you know, feeling, one need to do all these things. Right. So about the you know, about the 3 root, 9 reason, 3 promises or 3 resolutions, I will try to explain next week. This is very, very important. This is a powerful way for cultivating the mindfulness of the impermanent of death. Now here, you know, I will clarify, you know, something here. You know, it says, you must therefore try to take the essence from it now. If you don't, you are sure to die anyway. Now it talks about impermanent of death. and you cannot know when that will happen, right? So all these are included in the 3 reason, 9, 3 root reason, 3 root, 9 reason, and 3 promise included in this. Yeah, we are now attending the Dharma teaching, but none of us will be left in 100 years time. So yeah, in 100 years, yeah, we won't be alive. Yeah, since since from today onwards, right? In the span of 100 years, we all of us that we discussing. I as a speaker, you as a listeners, we both since from today onwards until 100, all we won't be alive, right? So yeah, so all this truly very beautifully summarized into the three root, 9 reason, and 3 resolutions. It say, in the past, Buddha, our teacher, amassed the 2 collections of merit and primal wisdom over many eons. Now, we may wonder, Buddha, our teacher, that is Buddha Shakyamuni, right? Buddha Shakyamuni created the 2 kinds of merit for over many eons. Now, what is the merit, Again, that is important thing to note. What is merit? Now, for example, generally speaking, there, for example, we get to, we get to stay in a comfortable house. Again, having this privilege, having having a time to stay in a comfortable house, having having to eat a nice food, to have good friends and reliable and trusted friends, to live a healthy life. Having a no problem with financial aid. All these are due to the our accumulation of merit in past life or any point of point of time in our past life. Right. So right now, sometimes we go through this difficulty. We are having this problem. We go through this problem, that problem. Sometimes we have some problem here and that. Now, why we do face the problem is mainly due to the due to the lack of the accumulation of merit. Due to the lack of the accumulation of merit, due to the shortage of the accumulation of merit, sometimes in some cases, what we call as, sometimes the death occur because of the exhaustion of the merit at all. This also happens here. And then, now, sometimes, we have so many, we have also, many good things happening in life, things going success, all this again, due to the good merit. We are enjoying the merit, we are enjoying the result of the merit that we have, earned, that we have obtained. Now, generally speaking, there are 2 kinds of merit. The merit, So that is now more related with the spiritual path, you know. Now here, for example, right, you know, now I may practice giving, right? I may give some amount of money, you know, I may give something to the beggar, you know, the homeless person. So if you know, if I motivate, you know, with the wish to achieve the enlightenment, with the wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, motivated by this bodhidharma, motivated by this, you know, altruistic mind, if we engage in the act of giving, if we engage in the act of giving, and this act, this kind of act create a merit, right? This merit is what is called as virtuous merit. Again, you know, in order to achieve enlightenment, achieve enlightenment for myself, for the benefit of all, I may, you know, guard the vows, you know, I may refrain from, you know, harmful actions. I may refrain from harmful actions. That action is, again, because of that action, you create the merit. That merit is non-virtuous, you know, sorry, virtuous, you know, merit. And then again, you know, the same like patience, you know, to achieve enlightenment for all the beings, you know, I practice patience. This act of practicing patience, I create the merit, and that merit is, you know, virtuous merit. And then, you know, same joyous effort, you know, making perseverance, or, you know, doing kind of some meditation, you know, meditative stabilization, you know. So all this, you know, we create the, you know, a kind of merit. That merit is mainly the virtuous merit. Now, this merit, what it has to do, we create the merit, but then when we create the merit, what it has to do with us? Yes, when we create the merits, it definitely has to do something very big with us. Now, because now you see, now I engage in the act of giving, right? I create the merit. Now, because of this merit, you know, now because of this merit, my act of giving, my practice of giving becomes more better and better, becomes becoming better and better and better because of the power of the accumulation of the virtuous merit. Right. Similarly, now for example, the act of patience, you know, the act of patience, you know, because of the, you know, motivated by the altruistic mind or bodhicitta, motivated by the bodhicitta and the altruistic mind, you know, my, you know, act of patience, my act of patience, I create the merit. This merit helps to enhance my, you know, my practice of patience, enhance my practice of patience. Right. Now, now, mainly the virtuous merit, you know, the virtuous merit helps to, virtuous merit are one of the main cause for creating the Buddha's form body. Buddha's form body, you know, when we become, you know, Buddha, we achieve a kind of body which is complete with 32 major signs and 80 minor signs. So that is how it come into being, is because of the creation and the accumulation of the virtuous merit. Now, right now, similarly, now, you know, although we are not on the spiritual path, we may not be a bodhisattva, you know, But still, while we will remain as ordinary human being, we can meditate on the impermanent. We can meditate on the emptiness, the selflessness. Right now, again, motivated by the bodhicitta, motivated by the bodhitham, we meditate on the emptiness. The act of meditating on emptiness, the very act of meditating on emptiness, create the merit. That merit is called wisdom merit. That merit is called wisdom merit, and that merit helps to create, helps to achieve the Buddha's mind in the future. Now here, for example, right, I may motivated out of bodhicitta, I may meditate on emptiness. When I meditate on emptiness, because of the merit, because of this, the power of the merit, your meditation on emptiness becomes more stronger. Your practice of wisdom gets better, and at some point of time, your practice of wisdom becomes valid and experiential, direct experience. This happening of direct experience is due to the power of the wisdom merit. Right? And also, whatever, meditate on emptiness or impermanent, in order to make your practice of impermanent, in order to make your practice of bodhicitta, in order to make your practice of emptiness becomes much more experiential, becomes much more better and better. We need accumulation of the merit. Without the accumulation of merit, no matter how much we make the effort, it will not progress. This meditation will not progress. Therefore, not only this, not only in the case of the spiritual practice, even when we do study the dharma. Now, for example, if we do study the lamrim, again, studying lamrim, listening to lamrim, the possibility of having, or for example, like discussion, I create my own merit. You also create a tremendous amount of merit. And also, because of the maturation, because of the ripening of our karma, ripening of the merit, we have this opportunity. Now, again, to make sure there are practice of our, because practice come later. First, we need to study, right, and then contemplate. Even the study of the lamrim, the practice of the lamrim, in order to make sure that this goes smoothly, the support of merit is highly necessary. Without the support of the merit, in some cases, the things like happen. We join the the lamrim teaching for the few months, people feel boring. Maybe for some people may feel boring. Why? Because of the shortage of the merit. Because of the shortage of the accumulation of merit. So therefore, the accumulation of the merit really, is needed. The purification is needed. The accumulation of, is needed. The accumulation of merit is needed. The purification practice is needed. Otherwise, these are, to practice Dharma, in order to practice Dharma very smoothly, you need to free from all the obstacles. One need to make sure that one is free from the obstacles. If you do not accumulate merit, now the problem comes, the obstacles comes, which then interfere our practice, interfere study the Dharma practice, interfere study the contemplation of the Dharma, Lamrim, for example, right? The interfere our practice, Dharma practice. So therefore, this is actually, this purely, the combination of both. This explanation is both from the practice side as well as the, as well as the, logical side, both together. We can explain this with the reason as well as the, as well as both from the practice side as well as both from the logic side. So here then, yeah, we know, whatever do, therefore, even a simple act, whatever act we can do, whatever act, how much this act, becomes such a powerful, how much do we accumulate such a powerful merit depends on the motivation, the power of the motivation. For example, if meditate now, for example, right, if our practice of giving, is motivated by bodhicitta, the merit that one earns is tremendous, unparalleled, matchless. Now, if, however, on the other hand, if our practice of giving is motivated just for some minor purpose, for example, to gain some good health, to gain resources in return, so these are very limited. So the merit, definitely one create the merit if if the act of giving is motivated by such a small motivation, weak motivation. For example, only for this life, like maybe in the next life, yeah, it does, the one does create the merit, but it is very limited. The merit is, once you get the result of the merit, but the result of the merit is once enjoyed, it is done, it is exhausted. However, the merit that the act of giving, which is motivated by the the bodhicitta, this merit, if not be destroyed, you can enjoy the merit unless you become enlightened. However, but be careful, we need to be careful that this merit can be destroyed by anger, hatred, all these things. Right. And also we can, we can also, we can practice giving, for example, then again out of the wish to seek the liberation. So if you seek the liberation, you create the merit, but that merit becomes the cause, the main cause for achieving the liberation alone, liberation only. But still very powerful. It's really very powerful, because we are, doing this, out the wish to seek the liberation, which is the total cessation of suffering, pain, trouble, problem. This is actually what we need. We definitely need. We need to develop this, the wish to seek liberation. We need to seek the wish to achieve liberation, but we need seek the liberation, but not the liberation alone. Because our final aspiration is to seek enlightenment. But we need to seek, because we need to seek the liberation, because without seeking the liberation, there's no way that we can achieve bodhicitta, bodhidharma. There's difficult to achieve that great compassion, the great sense of compassion towards all the things. Right. So in this way, we can even, when we remain as ordinary, we can create a great deal of merit, in this merit, such a powerful merit, both, virtuous merit as well as the wisdom merit. The virtuous merit helps to achieve the Buddha's firm body. The wisdom merit helps to achieve the Buddha's wisdom mind. So there, I think, gives some idea about what is meant by two collections of merit. Okay. Then I will read. Okay. In the past, Buddha, our teacher, amassed the two collections of merit and primal wisdom over many eons, thus obtaining the Vajrabhari. So Vajrabhari means, Vajrabhari, according to the Vajrayana understanding, it is the illusory body. Okay, it is the illusory body. Vajra mind is the in the tantric understanding, in the highest of tantric understanding, it is the ultimate meaning clear light. That is the Vajra mind, ultimate meaning clear light. Because finally, in the resultant stage, we are going to achieve the union, which is the which we are going to achieve the state, which is the union of the illusory body, the pure illusory body, and the ultimate meaning clear light. So that is tantric understanding. we will not discuss it here. Yet even he, through the common appearance, went to nirvana, beyond suffering. So, once you achieve the, Vajra body, which is the union of the, the pure illusory body and the ultimate meaning clear light, now you are beyond death, you are beyond birth. It surpasses, it destroys the ordinary birth and death. So you are freed. We are freed once we achieve, this state. After him, there came scholars, adepts, and translators. And pandits means the great panditas, the great scholars, scholars both to both India and Tibet. But they have all seemingly departed this life. So there are many, in the great, in the Nalanda University, the Buddhist Nalanda University, in this from this great university, many great, the great practitioner, the great yogis, the great scholars, have produced. The great, such a, real celebrated scholars have produced. All this now, only the name is left. And then 80 Mahasiddhas, sometimes 84 Mahasiddhas, Buddhist Mahasiddhas from India produced. Again, their name is, only the name is left. Many great masters also from the Vikramshila, the great, Buddhist masters and the yogis also produced from the Vikramshila University, the university where Adisha also, came from that university. And also the great, university around in ancient times was also the Autanpuri, where many great yogis have produced, the great practitioners, of Vajrayana, practitioners have produced. All these are just now name, only is left. Now in Tibet, the great master like Padmasambhava came in the 9th century. And all the 25 disciples, many of them achieve high level of realization and attain the Venerable body. But again, now the name is left. Only we can hear the names, this and that name. Only we can, know their biography. Other than this, there's no physical body, not here. And then also from the Kagyu, the great, founders of the Kagyu tradition like Marpa, Milarepa, Gamboba, Rechungpa, and all the many sub, schools also developed, and all these great masters have departed this world. And then, and also, the great master Khyungpo Nejor, and then we have, in the Saja, the great Sachin Kunga Nyingbo, Sonan Tsemo, Chakwa Yinze, Shuke Papa, Kunga Yinze. These are the main founders of the Saja tradition, one of the main figures of the Saja tradition. All this passed away. Not a single is left. Then in the later in the Gelug tradition, in the 14th century, the Master Tsongkhapa came, and his two spiritual sons, Kirubje and Gezabje, and all the many, a numerous number of, the disciples around his time also produced. All of these, great masters, for example, in the Master Tsongkhapa's, tradition, around his time, almost 100 students achieve enlightenment. But all these are now only the name is left. Only the name is left. That we are, and also we are fortunate to have been able to study the text, such a very profound text, such a very highly blessed text. We are fortunate to have, the study, contemplate, and meditate. And also the great master, like, all the many great, Tibetan, Dharma kings, like Songze Gampo, Songzen Gampo, Trirelpa, Tresong Dezen, all these spiritual masters are them, they are emanations of Buddha. Now all this all pass away, all this departed. They have achieved, many of them have achieved such a high level of realizations. Some have achieved achieve enlightenment in a single lifetime. Some achieve the rainbow body, some achieve the illusory body, some they achieve the empty form body. Nothing is left of them, but the names to say there was this one and some other. Only thing that we could say is, oh, this time came in this century, this and did that enlightened days, physically already passed away. In short, there is no one you can produce as an example of a person who death has spared. Can we single out that person has not died? No. No matter how much, spiritually very powerful, no matter how much economically very powerful, no much how, some person is, maybe very rich, maybe, highly educated, maybe the celebrity, or, maybe the celebrity, the beggar, and everyone who has the feeling to, who has the, the innate feeling, who is the innate feeling to feel pain and pleasure. At some point of time, nobody will be left. Nobody will be spared. That death will give no mercy to nobody. The Lord of Death is the ultimate truth. Ultimate speaker, ultimate truth speaker. That it does not give any pity, does not take any pity for anyone. Right? How could produce as an example for a person who death has spared? How could you live alone forever? You have no hope of being spared. You cannot be spared, because when the point of death comes, what happens is the death coming. Why death come? The death comes because our body is the the production of karma and delusion. Number one, our body is the karma, and our body is the production of karma and delusion, and we haven't gained control over the birth and death. This is number one. When the death comes, no external condition can avoid the death. No internal condition can avoid the death. No external condition taking at the point of death. I'm talking about at the point of death. Medicine does not help. The power of the mantra does not help. The might, the power, all this does not help. So in this, so all these are, these explanations are, summarized. If I tell, in the first root, the first root is, the death is certain. Why the death is certain is because death is certain because death will come, right? Why the death come is because our body is the production of karma and delusion, and we haven't gained control over the birth and death. Number one, right? And external condition cannot prevent the death. Internal condition cannot prevent the death. Number two is when the death comes, you cannot extend the life, and lives get shorter and shorter. This is number two. Number three, and then number three is having to die without having to practice. No time to practice the dharma, because some people die in the mother's womb. Sometimes when mother conceived the child died, at any point of time. So without giving any warning sign, one will go. So now, what is the point? What is the resolution? The resolution. What is the promise? What promise we keep is, I must practice dharma. So this is the promise, because you see the reason, three reasons. There is no choice. So final conclusion that we get is, I have to practice dharma. There is no choice. This is first root, three reason, and three promise. The second root is the uncertainty of the time of death. The uncertainty of the time of death, because now the reason, because the causes of death are many, the causes of survival are very less, right? And then the lifespan of the people of this world is indefinite, and especially the people of this degenerate age, is very indefinite. Number two. Number three is the body is fragile, the fragility of the body. With these three, we come to understand that I have to do the Dhamma practice right now, from now onwards. Then the number three, root number three, the third root is, at the point of death, nothing will be of any benefit, right? So then, then the three reason is, the resources won't be helped, the friends won't be helped, and then one's body won't be helped, right? So with this, you come to the conclusion that I have to practice Dharma only. So right now I explained this, I just briefly explained, but the actual, with the first root, each of the root, the actual reason to prove is so beautiful, is so, it's so amazing, is so logical, is so, psychological, is so excellent. Even with this, the purity of the reason, purity of the logic, even the uneducated, even the most learned professor cannot avoid these reasons because of the profundity of the reason. These 9 reasons, it's so beautiful, that's a real psychology. So yeah, maybe next week I will present in that way, yeah, which then makes more, convincing, more logical, convincing. Yeah, right now I explain briefly, yeah, not in a logical and convincing way. Next week I will explain in more convincing way. Right. So sometimes here, when we talk about the meditation, the contemplation, and meditate on the impermanent death, sometimes I feel a little bit uncomfortable, telling, because sometimes it, a little bit goes against the way of thinking, yeah. But in reality, yeah, this really, but in reality, yeah, we need to cultivate, definitely cultivate. But for the time being, it makes a little bit uncomfortable. we may think what's going on now. So yeah, next week, yeah, be prepared, I will talk, yeah, I will, just, talk what really is the essence of meditation on the impermanent death. Which, we may be surprised to hear this. Okay, yeah.
So we end here.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. Then we today end here. Okay, I will dedicate. Yawadi Yata Lama Sanka the Gune Doachi Yamada Pate Salakova Show, Chancha Sanka and Boje, Makabana Kigit. Yawanya Bamabaya, when you come to Tawasho, Yanda Tavar and Boje, Makabana Kigit, Yawanya Bamabaya. Honda Beva, Gonda Revelation on the Pendata Mother Cherry Savadin, the Yazoi. Service about the danger, measure the Pelagic, that it should be. 치원가게 만든 노래죠. 대대 지금 서와인데 메메세베데 진짜레세 메긴 배우 뭐 잠배야. 가제게에서 연송가 봐 로상 차베 샤블라 서와인데. Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, everyone.
When they
Cảm ơn thầy.
Hố ơi, thầy không có thấy hình, thầy không có thấy hình của ánh sáng.
Hi Rinpoche.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah,
have the
thank you.
flower offering to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
this is for
Very
you.
good. Yeah. Okay, thank you, yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that one
Okay.
is for you.
Very
Thank
nice.
you, Rinpoche. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay, yeah, thank you, yeah, flower, very good, yeah, very nice flower, rose flower, yeah, I appreciate.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
yeah, thank you, yeah,
Thank you so much,
okay,
Rinpoche.
okay, yeah, thank you,
Yes.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Con cảm ơn ban tổ chức ạ. Thank you, Rinpoche. Con cảm
Okay,
ơn
yeah,
ban
thank
tổ
you,
chức.
thank you.